Okay, so in this one, I'm going to cover a client funnel that closed a 500K deal and exactly how you could set this up for yourself. So let's jump in here. About me, I'm Louis. I'm the co-founder and COO at Advanced Client. So we help established B2B companies scale their pipelines, scale their sales using GTM systems. We work with over 40 companies, built a pipeline worth of $10 million and booked over 3,000 sales meetings for our clients respectively. But that's not important. The funnel's important. That's why you're here. And this is what we're going to break down just here. So these are some of the results that we generated for this particular client. And this was all with this same funnel. It's kind of a two-part funnel that I'll break down. So they closed a 500K deal, like I said. This one has potential for an 800K deal in lifetime value as well. It was 125K retainer. We generated 145 qualified sales meetings directly. So those are booked sales meetings with their sales team. There was a pipeline of over 500 ICP fit companies over the timeline of running this funnel, which was a 31.25x ROAS, which is pretty insane. So that means every $1 they spent with us, the client made $31 in revenue. So, pretty crazy return from this funnel. And you can see the screenshot from our Slack channel with them down below. So who was the client? The client sells lighting design services to architecture firms in the USA. That's essentially what they do. Pretty simple, pretty particular niche, which is great. So in the video, I'll cover what they were doing when they approached us. So what was their current systems? What were they rocking? What was their problems? Why it wasn't working? And then the funnel we built to fix those problems. So if we jump into the main problem, to be short, it was a lead flow problem. They had a lead flow problem. They weren't generating enough sales meetings. They weren't getting enough leads. And that's a problem that a lot of companies that we speak to have. They can't get leads in the door. They're relying on referrals. It's just not working in terms of acquiring new customers. So again, they had no real way to reach their ICP and they were relying on referrals. They also had no idea how big their TAM was, so their total available market. So they don't know how big it is, which is not great when you're trying to reach new customers. You want to know exactly how many people are in your market. You want to know who those companies are so you can reach out to them. Also, their sales process wasn't great. They had a very low sharp rate, which we needed to fix as well if we wanted to make this profitable for them. They already had a great offer when we started working with them. And when we are on sales meetings with potential customers, this is the main thing we look for. Do you have a great offer, or is there potential for you to create a great offer? It was a huge money-saving offer with a guarantee, which is great for cold emails. If you're going to take anything away from this video, it would be to have a good offer. It's the backbone of your business. It's the backbone of your sales. And without it, you're not going to win. So you can either have a great offer kind of attached to your service, or you can create a cold offer, which is detached from your service, which offers something to a cold market. Think about this. So lead generation is what we do. That's our service, but we could offer a cold offer to a cold audience, which might be some sort of value, something that we solve a narrow problem. So we'll give you 5,000 free leads, that are in your ICP for free. That's like a cold offer. We could offer that to a cold market. So we could offer that in ads or cold emails. So what we set up for them was a typical cold email system. Now, the reason we did this is because we saw that they had a good offer. And with a good offer, you can typically win in cold email. And the downfall of most companies when their cold email isn't working, they'll come to us and say, it's not working. We're doing this. We're sending these many emails a day. Why are we not getting replies? It's usually because your offer sucks, to be frank. So what we did was we mapped their TAM because they didn't know how big it was, and we realized it was pretty massive. There were a lot of architecture firms in the USA and a lot that they hadn't reached out to or weren't aware of previously. So we mapped this out. We pulled architecture firms from directories and a direct Clay search. We put them into Clay. We enriched this company data. We scored them based on their ICP parameters. So, how big the company is, where it's located, and scored them based on these, and segmented the lists down into location, company size, job title. When we found the right title in each segment, so we had a list of decision makers that we were going to go out and find. We found those in those lists. We found those decision makers from those companies. We ran campaigns through Instantly.ai, which is a email sending tool. So we ran those campaigns, segmented down, which made the emails more relevant. The copy was short and sharp and straight to the point. And that's what you want to be aiming for when doing cold email. The longer it is, the less chance someone's going to read it, especially with a good offer as well. You're able to keep it nice and short and use that offer as the main part of the email. It was a cost-saving offer, so we leaned heavily into that. And again, their competition couldn't compete with this, so it was one of the selling points, and it was pretty simple for us to go ahead and set up this campaign for them. If we get into some of the cold email results that we saw from running this, it was about a 6-month time frame we did this. So over 30,000 emails sent, got a 3.2% reply rate, which is pretty good considering cold email deliverability at the moment isn't great. It's pretty hard to get a good reply rate, and about a 1% reply rate means that you're, bang average. So this is pretty decent. We got 479 replies from those 30K emails sent. That's over 3 or 4 emails as well. So the list size was about 10,000 as well. So 10,000 people, 3.2% reply rate, 479 replied, 232 were positive replies, so leads that were interested in what they were offering, and then we booked 168 meetings directly onto their sales calendar. So that's pretty decent results. You can see those down below with the Instantly screenshot. And this just goes to show that cold email does work. So if you hear people saying it doesn't work in 2025, yeah, it's probably not working for them. And I agree, there are very particular circumstances under which cold email will work. You need a good offer. You need to have very good deliverability. And those are the 2 main things that you need to have nailed in to get these kind of results. And it's not going to be the same, 8% reply rates that you were seeing in 2021, but it's still profitable because if you can see here, 168 meetings, just imagine how many you could close, even with a 10% close rate. Another thing we set up for them was a dynamic workflow. Now, this was the real unlock for them, and it was something they could set up in the background and have it running while they sleep. So this was completely automated, and it was one of the main things we did for them. So the founder told us that there were various websites and news outlets in each state in the US that have to publish when a new property is being developed. This information on the website has the architecture firm that has the contract to create this project. So this would be ideal for us. If we could scrape the data when it's published, we could email exactly when the architecture firms are gearing up for a new project. And as you can imagine, they're probably in need of lighting design and procurement services. To set this up, we got the list of 40 plus architecture websites in the USA. We basically put these into an RSS feed inside of Clay. So this tool essentially looks for new content on a website and delivers that content to you when it finds that new bit of content. So what it was looking for was new projects that have been published in each of those states. When it found them, it pushed them into Clay via this automation that you can see here. So you can see every time it found an item, it would push it in. 5th of September, the 8th of September, you can see that here. You can see where it's pulling from, what kind of website it's pulling from, and then you can see the architecture firm as well. So we pulled in the data and found different projects. Once we'd found a project, we would check the location using Claygent, which is an AI tool. So we'd find where the project is, the company, and then from here we enriched and found any decision makers at the company. Now this would allow us to reach out to these people. And to do that, we had to find some valid emails. So we use tools like Find Email. Clay actually has a really cool waterfall email feature where it will find emails with different providers, verify them, and check which one is valid. And then that will be the email that you can reach out with. Once we found these emails, we pushed them into Instantly. Again, our copy was very much focused on relevance here, the relevance of the project, and we used the cost-saving offer. So you can imagine if someone's gearing up for a new project, an architecture firm, if you reach out to them within a day of that thing being published on that website, it shows that you've done your research and it's very timely. And that's the key thing with cold email. It needs to be relevant. The message needs to be relevant to the person you're reaching out to, and it needs to be timely. Why now? Why now are you reaching out to this person? And this would be a key point to reach out to someone. So that's why we set this up for them. And you can see I've just kind of broken it down so you can visualize it here. So you've got the RSS feed that pushes into Clay. When we're in Clay, we're going to enrich these projects. We're going to qualify them, make sure they're the right type of company. We're going to find decision makers at these companies, and then we're going to craft highly relevant automated copy based on the project that they have published to that website. Then we'll run that into Instantly and send emails automatically. So this one was completely automated. You could set this up on the back end and have it running. So think about any websites for your company that are dynamic. So they're constantly updating with new data. which you could reach out to. You can set these up for any websites and it can be running in the background for you. And the last thing we did was a sales process audit. At the start of the video, I talked about how they had a very low show rate, and we had a hunch about why this was. The founder was recording sales meetings and had it set out of all of his sales team members, which is great. You want to be doing that for every single sales meeting that you take. But what they didn't have was any pre-call flows or emails going out to the leads before meetings. So no emails, no text, no nothing. They just book the lead in, or the lead books in. And then just before the meet, they get an email, confirmation email with the link to the meeting, and then nothing. If their lead isn't checking their calendar, they won't be attending because they don't remember. And they were letting people book days and days into the future. So 10 plus days into the future. So people just forget about these things. Ideally, you want to have people booking maximum of 4 days into the future. So you're top of mind when they're on that meeting. This was a huge opportunity here as well to educate leads and frame the meeting before the call. Because in each of the emails that you can send out before the meeting, you can have case studies, you can have past client work specifically for this client, and any other information that you want to give to the lead prior to the meeting. What we did with them was super simple. We set up a Calendly. They weren't using Calendly, but we set them up on Calendly. We got emails and texts going out prior to the meeting. So we'd have maybe 2 or 3 emails that went out before the meeting saying, thanks for booking a meeting. This is just a reminder about the meeting. And then you would put in some sort of value. It's like, check out the past work we did for XYZ. This is what we'd managed to do for them. We saved them this much money. It gets them excited about the call and keeps you top of mind when you're getting onto the meeting. You could also put in some sort of VSL. If you have some kind of pre-framing or pre-selling process in place, you can attach your VSL, go, hey, we want you to watch this video before jumping on the call with us. It explains a little bit more about us. And again, this helps to disqualify people. Say someone, you want someone to know the pricing to save time on the meeting, you can put that in the email. And then if someone isn't going to be able to afford your service, they can cancel the meeting and go ahead and do that. So it's super powerful to have these emails going out before meetings. Once we set this up with the meeting that we booked for them, there was pretty much a 95% show rate. And I'd mark most of that down to being only booking in the 4 days, only booking 4 days in advance and having these emails going out before them. So just to wrap up, we did 3 things. We set up a cold email system that sends emails to their entire market. So everybody in their market, we sent an email to. We put a big focus on their offer and having good deliverability. And you can see how that worked out with 168 meetings. We also set up an automated dynamic RSS feed. So it's pulling information from the website, it's finding projects that are currently happening, and then reaching out to those architecture firms, citing those projects, going, hey, could see you doing this. We're doing this. Would you like to learn more? We also audited their sales process. So set up Calendly pre-call flows to educate buyers before the call. And we also only allow them to book 4 or 5 days into the future so that they're top of mind when they get onto the meeting with them. Again, if you'd like any of this set up for your company, or you're interested in seeing where we could make some improvements in your GTM systems currently, or you're just interested to have a chat with me personally, there's some Calendly links in the description of this video. You can go ahead and book in. And again, hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you found it valuable. And if you did, leave a like and subscribe because it helps us out, gets the content out to other people. Cheers.